In our fast-paced lives, we often operate on autopilot, moving through daily routines without pause. Waking up, completing chores, working, and unwinding, only to start all over again. But amidst this cycle, have you ever wondered how much of your time truly contributes to the elevation of your soul? Do you consciously take out time for spiritual growth and upliftment? Every moment of this precious human birth holds immense value. Investing time in activities that nurture spiritual growth paves the way to eternal bliss and liberation. But what are these activities? And how can they become part of our lives? The answer lies in the 6 essentials. Shat Avashyak. Shat translates to 6 and Avashyak implies essential duties. These practices guide us towards self-realization, shifting our focus from worldly attachments and sensory pleasures to the veneration of true gods, scriptures, and ascetics. By adopting them, we weaken passions, purify the soul, and progress on the path to liberation. What are the essentials or avashyak? The essentials are the activities that are necessary to develop a suitable character for a householder. Muni Padmanandi composed a verse in Padmanandi Panchvinsatika, which describes these essentials. It goes as follows. Deva Pooja Guru Upasti Swadhyay Sanyamas Tapa Danam Cheti Grahasthanam Shatkarmani Dine Dine. Thus, the 6 essentials for a householder are: Number 1. Worshipping God or Dev Puja. Number 2. Devotion towards ascetics, Guru Upasana. Number 3. Studying religious scriptures, Swadhyay. Number 4. Practicing austerity, Sanyam. Number 5. Undertaking penance, Tapa. Number 6. Giving to worthy recipients, Daan. Additionally, Panchadhyayi, verse 726, outlines 8 fundamental attributes or mool gun that are essential for a true Jain Shravak. It emphasizes that anyone consuming alcohol, meat, honey, or any of the 5 types of Udumbar fruits cannot be considered a Jain layperson. These items are prohibited because they harbor countless mobile living beings, thus Jeev, and consuming them constitutes a serious act of violence. To embody Jain principles, one must abstain from these items and observe the 6 essentials along with the 8 attributes. Real essentials and conventional essentials. Before delving into the 6 essentials, it is important to understand the distinction between real essentials or Nishchay Avashyak and conventional essentials or Vyavhar Avashyak. The first step on the path to liberation is attaining right belief, Samyak Darshan. Without it, external conduct alone cannot lead to liberation. What does it mean? It means that virtuous actions performed before attaining right belief may bind auspicious karma, but will not result in liberation. These activities, therefore, do not represent the true path to liberation unless accompanied by self-experience and right belief, as embodied in the real essentials. To define, the real essentials, Nishchay Avashyak, represent the state of self-experience and the partial purity in the disposition of a right believer. In contrast, conventional essentials, Vyavhar Avashyak, refer to external actions involving the mind, body, and speech that align with each of these essentials, which we will explore shortly. Does this mean that Jain layperson who have not yet attained right belief should avoid practicing these essentials? Not at all. These essentials are beneficial for all householders, fostering virtuous conduct and encouraging deeper spiritual exploration. However, it is important to understand that while these practices are valuable, they do not constitute right conduct, samyak charitra, which begins only after attaining right belief. As you engage in these activities to channel your consciousness towards good deeds, always remember that the true path to liberation starts with the right belief. With this foundational understanding, let us now explore the 6 essential duties in detail. Number 1. Worshipping God, Dev Pooja.
तोरे दर्शन सो मेरो मनुवा अति हर्षाय.
The act of offering prayers and showing veneration to the passionless, omniscient gods, Arihant and Siddha Bhagwan, through temple visits, singing hymns and verses, bowing, performing salutations, or praising their divine attributes with or without use of the 8 substances is referred to as Dev Puja, worship of God. It is regarded as the foremost duty of a Jain householder aspiring for eternal bliss. The physical form of worship involving the use of 8 substances is called Dravya Puja. It also includes actions such as salutations, circumambulation, and other rituals. On the other hand, the practice of focusing on the attributes of Arihant Bhagwan, setting aside all worldly distractions, meditating on their divine posture, and fostering devotion towards them is known as Bhav Puja. The 8 substances used as offerings in Jain worship and their symbolic meanings are pure filtered water, Jal, symbolizes the washing away of internal impurities and miseries such as birth, aging, and death. Sandalwood water, Chandan, symbolizes the eradication of worldly miseries similar to the calming effect of sandalwood on body's heat. Washed rice, Akshat, symbolizes attainment of eternal or imperishable possession, as rice once harvested does not regrow. Sandalwood rice, Pushpa, symbolizes the elimination of worldly desires and attachments. Dry coconut, Naivedya, symbolizes the eradication of hunger and the attainment of satisfaction in one's pure self. Sandalwood coconut, Deep, symbolizes the removal of ignorance and the illumination of right knowledge leading to omniscience. Clove, Dhoop, symbolizes the destruction of all 8 types of karmic bondage. Whole almond, Phal, symbolizes the attainment of the ultimate fruit of liberation. Benefits. Worshipping God allows a householder to reflect on divine attributes of God, such as passionlessness, omniscience, and infinite bliss, inspiring them to establish a worthy aspiration to emulate. Through worship, the householder gains the opportunity to recognize and acknowledge their own shortcomings, introspect, and commit to overcoming these flaws. This act of devotion is not performed to seek blessings or attain worldly achievements, as the householder understands that true happiness lies beyond material pursuits.
अर्घ्य समर्पण करके प्रभु निज गुण कार्य बनाऊंगा और निश्चित तेरे सदृश प्रभु अरहंत अवस्था पाऊंगा। ओम ह्रीं श्री देव शास्त्र गुरुभ्यो अनर्घपद प्राप्तये अर्घ्यं निर्वपामीति स्वाहा.
By expressing a sincere aspiration to cultivate the qualities exemplified by God and pledging to follow the path revealed by Him, the householder embarks on their journey towards liberation. Devotion towards ascetics, Guru Upasana. Jain householders hold the highest regard for the passionless ascetics, the acharyas, upadhyayas, and sadhus, who are collectively revered as gurus. Devotion to these gurus, known as Guru Upasana, encompasses more than just respect. It involves following their guidance, agya, serving them selflessly through the act of service, seva, vaiyavritti, and creating a supportive environment that allows them to practice meditation and penance without any obstacles. This devotion is a cornerstone of the householder's spiritual journey. Benefits. Asceticism is a prerequisite for attaining liberation, making it the natural next step for householders who seek true bliss. The act of devotion and service performed by householders towards ascetics serve as a vital foundation for their own spiritual progress. These actions not only help cultivate virtues such as humility and selflessness, but also inspire householders to embrace the ascetic path in the future. By following this path, they can strive to attain the same internal bliss and purity that ascetics embody, ultimately progressing towards liberation. Studying of scriptures, Swadhyay. The term Swadhyay refers to the study of religious scriptures based on the teachings of the Tirthankar Bhagwan. This study can be done either through self-reading or by listening to discourses delivered by gurus, enlightened individuals, jnanis, or learned scholars. However, not all texts are worthy of study. It is essential to discern between authentic scriptures and irrelevant writings. True scriptures, Jinwani, should inspire passionlessness, encourage detachment from worldly pleasures, and guide one towards the path of liberation. They must present the true nature of substances and purposeful elements without contradictions. By engaging with such scriptures, one gains knowledge of the soul's true nature and paves the way for liberation from the suffering caused by ignorance. The study of scriptures involves 5 key practices. Vanchana, reading the scripture with efforts to understand their meaning. Pruchana, politely seeking clarification from learned individuals on any doubts or questions. Anupreksha, deep contemplation and reflection on the concepts studied. Amnai, repeated revision to internalize and memorize the teachings. Dharmopadesh, sharing the teachings with others selflessly, with no desire for recognition or personal gain. Benefits. For a soul seeking liberation, developing the right belief is imperative, and this begins with understanding the true nature of the soul. Such understanding is achieved through the in-depth study of scriptures, making it essential for every householder to dedicate at least a few hours daily to Swadhyay. Engaging in Swadhyay fosters the cultivation of right knowledge, facilitates spiritual growth, and ultimately leads one towards liberation. Austerity, Sanyam. Usually austerity or Sanyam is associated solely with renunciation and restraints. However, the term austerity, Sanyam, is not limited to mere physical restraint and control over bodily pleasures. Its true meaning lies in engaging our active consciousness, upyog, in the experience of our soul. External vows and restraints are also considered as austerity in the conventional sense because they help in achieving the goal of engaging our consciousness in pure meditation of the soul. Conventional austerity involves abstaining from the pleasures of the five senses and the mind, Indriya Sanyam, and avoiding violence towards other living beings, Prani Sanyam. Indriya Sanyam includes limiting indulgence in food, drink, and other sensual pleasures, as well as controlling the mind's tendency to wander towards materialistic desires. Prani Sanyam involves vigilance in daily activities to avoid violence towards all six kinds of living bodies. Benefits of austerity. By practicing restraint and control over our senses and mind, and being vigilant in our daily chores to avoid violence, we can gradually overcome our attachments to worldly pleasures and achieve a state of equanimity. This pure state, devoid of passions, that arises due to complete self-engrossment, is the true path of liberation. Penance, Tap. The concept of penance, Tap, revolves around overcoming worldly desires and finding contentment within oneself. External penance, such as fasting, are practiced to support this goal. However, it is essential to understand that there are 12 types of penance. And for householders, the most significant among them is scriptural study, Swadhyay. Importantly, penance must be guided by the right belief, Samyak Darshan, as fasting and other form of penance without it cannot lead to liberation. Benefits of penance. External penance. These help cultivate detachment from sensory pleasures, strengthen determination, and build willpower. Internal penance. These focus on weakening passions like anger, pride, deceit, and greed. The effectiveness of any penance in aiding the dissociation of karma depends on having the right belief. While penance can result in the accumulation of auspicious karma and should be practiced whenever possible, greater emphasis is placed on Swadhyay. Scriptural study leads to true knowledge, fostering right belief and paving the way towards liberation. Giving to the worthy recipients, Daan. Daan refers to the act of giving one's possessions or useful items, such as food, for the benefit of both oneself and others. It is essential to offer Daan to deserving recipients, such as passionless ascetics or enlightened householders who have taken partial or no vows. The recipient is regarded as being in a higher spiritual position than the donor, who considers it a privilege to give. There are 4 types of Daan: the gift of food, Ahar Daan; the gift of medicine, Aushadh Daan; the gift of knowledge, Gyan Daan; and the gift of fearlessness, Abhay Daan. The gift of knowledge is considered the most supreme form of Daan. Benefits. Daan has numerous benefits, including reducing attachment and greed, encouraging renunciation of worldly pleasures, and generating auspicious karma. To truly benefit from giving, the donor must have the right intentions, such as joy in giving, faith in the virtues of the act, and reverence towards the recipient. The gift should be appropriate, and the act of giving should be free from expectations of worldly gains. When Daan is offered with these attributes to a worthy recipient, it proves beneficial for both the donor and the recipient. It is important to note that while true Daan is directed towards spiritually worthy individuals, charitable acts aimed at alleviating the suffering of ordinary beings are also a convention. However, such donations should be made with humility and detachment, without any desire for recognition or personal gain. If given with pride or selfish motives, even charitable donations result in inauspicious karmic bondage instead of spiritual upliftment. The 6 essentials Shat Avashyak, Dev Pooja, Guru Upasana, Swadhyay, Sanyam, Tapa and Daan form the cornerstone of Jain householders' spiritual practice. These principles foster devotion, self-discipline, and the cultivation of virtues necessary for spiritual progress. By engaging in these essentials, one not only strengthens faith and detachment but also aligns their life with the path of liberation. Summary: the 6 essential duties of a Jain householder guide them towards a disciplined and spiritually fulfilling life. They are: worshipping God, Dev Pooja. A householder must visit the temple of the omniscient Tirthankars and offer prayers with devotion. Devotion towards ascetics, Guru Upasana. A householder should serve passionless ascetics with humility and strive to follow the path they teach. Studying scriptures, Swadhyay. It is essential for a householder to regularly study sacred scriptures to gain right knowledge and develop wisdom. Austerity, Sanyam. A householder must practice self-control and discipline, restraining material desires and avoiding harm to any living being. Penance, Tapa. A householder should overcome worldly cravings by seeking inner contentment, with scripture study being the most relevant form of penance for laypersons. Giving to worthy recipients, Daan. A householder is encouraged to donate essential items like food and medicine to deserving souls, such as ascetics and enlightened laymen, to reduce greed and accumulate auspicious karma. In addition to these duties, Jain laypersons are expected to adhere to 8 attributes, including abstaining from honey, alcohol, meat, and 5 kinds of udumbar fruits, as all of these harbor countless living beings. While practicing these 6 essentials, it is crucial to understand that true purity is achieved through self-experience of the soul, which is the real essential, while the physical acts performed by mind, speech, and body represents the conventional essentials.